Carlos, who is it?
Why don't you come out here and find out for yourself?
Why do you always have to have something smart to... Oh, hi. No, we're fine. Why don't you come inside for a minute? Daniel's murder did have us all a bit shaken up. It's still hard to believe.
It's unfortunate that something like that had to happen to Daniel. He had his whole life ahead of him. Wait a second. What does Daniel's death have to do with us?
Yeah, what can we tell you that we didn't tell the police? We didn't see anything.
They suspect me. I went to jail for embezzlement, for Christ's sakes. I'm not a violent man. Jesus, Mary and Joseph, I am not a homophobe. That was a misunderstanding.
Yeah? Well, they're wrong. Carlos would never do anything to hurt Daniel. I know for a fact that he couldn't have that night. We were both home and in bed by 11. Actually, I wasn't exactly following my normal routine that night. See, earlier in the day, Carlos tried to drag me into another one of his charity benefits.
Oh, here we go.
I'm not talking to you, sweetie. Stay out of it.
Listen, honey, she came over here to talk to me.
Carlos doesn't want you to know that he threw a fit because I didn't want to go to his little party. We fought about it for hours. Then we had the makeup sex. Then we fought again. Then more makeup sex.
Yeah, we didn't make the charity event, but I definitely gave it my all. As did Gabby.
For your information, I had a number of appointments scheduled that day with a number of business professionals.
Uh-huh, and which professional was it this time? Henri? Pierre? That guy with the mole?
It's called a beauty mark, and that doesn't make him any less of a professional. Anyway, I had to keep my appointments and wound up pushing my workout back to the end of the day. So, I didn't go for my run until much later that night. And Carlos came home right after I did. We were together for the rest of the night.
Yeah, we still had some issues to resolve. Upstairs, if you know what I mean.
Carlos, have you ever heard of such a thing as too much information? I just remembered something else from that night. It involved whipped cream, strawberries... Actually, when I was running back home, I thought I saw two people milling around your house. It was pretty dark. I guess my eyes could have just as well been playing tricks on me.
Did you tell the police what you saw?
No. Why would I tell them that? I could have been seeing trees blowing in the wind or something.
That's the kind of thing you tell them, even if you're not sure. This way they can investigate. That's what they do, Gabby. Well, I definitely didn't see anything out of the ordinary that night. I'm sorry I can't help you out any further.
Why are you apologizing to her for not seeing anything? God, Carlos, you can be such a wimp sometimes. And another thing, Carlos.
Hello? That's clever. Really. Damn. There must be something the police overlooked. Doesn't it seem weird that no one else saw or heard anything else that night? seeing as how it is your house, and both you and your husband were out at the time, the only logical person to talk to about that would probably be... Let me know what you find out.
Hey, Mom. What's up? That's a really strange question. Don't you remember? I was grounded. I didn't go anywhere that night. You know what's funny? If you and Dad would just let me stay out later, I'd probably be able to help you out right now. I told you I was in all night. I was playing Utter Warfare online with this guy I know from the web forums, Double Trouble. I figured since nobody was home, I'd crank the volume up pretty loud, so there's no way I would have heard anything. Are you done with the interrogation now, Mom? I was just telling you what you wanted to hear. Geez, you know what? You're worse than Danielle's mom. The both of you make a habit of nagging and bugging people. Why can't you just leave me alone? Why are you so hung up on this? I mean, I know he wasn't your boyfriend or anything. He didn't even play for that team, did he? Other than you and his brother. Who's really gonna miss him anyway? Look, Mom, I'm sorry your friend is dead, but I don't know anything. I promise. So drop it already.
Hello? I guess that makes sense, if you think he's being completely honest. Have you tried asking him about it again? Sometimes people point you in the right direction the second time around. Or, if they're hiding something from you, they might accidentally give you information that leads you to the next clue.
Hey, Mom. What's up? Mom, what is it with you? Don't you have something else to do? I don't know anything else. Jeez, why don't you just go off and conspire with Mrs. Vandekamp about how to ruin the rest of my senior year? Because I don't have anything else to say to you. Oh, what was that for? I didn't do it, whatever it was. I don't ever want you to hit me again. Do you understand? It's not right, Mom.
Hello. What a pleasant surprise. To what do I owe the pleasure? I'm afraid you're wasting your time. I don't know anything about Daniel's murder. There's only one thing that comes to mind when I think of that night. But it certainly isn't going to bring Daniel's killers to justice, so it's probably better not to speak of it. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. What? I never said anything about Etta. That was the night your son attempted to court my daughter. That night, he and Danielle were coming back from their date. I caught Danielle trying to sneak back into the house. She knew better than to stay out that late. I assume your son was the bad influence. I saw them coming out of your house looking guilty as sin. And then your son had the nerve to try to sneak in with Danielle.
Mom, haven't you done enough? Now you're talking to the neighbors about this? Haven't you embarrassed me enough already?
I'm not trying to embarrass anyone, dear. You do more than enough of that for the both of us. Needless to say, they were surprised when I greeted them on the porch. I sent your son home immediately. Then Danielle and I had an interesting talk that evening. Do you know what this means?
Yeah, it means we were out that night.
I used to think my Danielle was incapable of hurting a fly, but she is susceptible to dangerous boys.
Do you seriously think I'm capable of that? The police said Mr. Fox was killed at 11 that night. And if you remember, you sent him home way before that. You went off on your whole high and mighty, and of all things, on a school night tirade and sent me to bed. Besides, I refuse to defend myself. You're insane for even thinking this. If only Dad were still alive.
Danielle, you will always be my daughter. But after what this family has been through, and especially after what you've put me through, it will take more than a few words for me to trust you again, considering you never even told me what you two were up to that night.
Ugh.
Well, if Danielle doesn't have anything to tell us, there's just one person left, your son. Maybe you'll have more luck getting the truth out of him.
Hello? What are you saying? Do you think they're responsible? Did you have any idea it was the two of them out there that night? What game? Yeah, utter warfare. That sounds right. Double Trouble is my screen name, and as you obviously know, I wasn't playing any games that night. You need to talk to your son again. See what else he forgot to mention to you.
Hey, Mom. What's up? About what? What? Why don't you ever trust me? You're just coming from out of nowhere with all this. And I know you're making this up. You can't prove anything. That girl just can't keep her mouth shut. What? No. She's fun. Okay. Danielle and I went out that night. But nothing really major happened, so I didn't feel the need to bring it up. After Mrs. Vandekam finished her angry diatribe, I left and came home. And that's the truth. That's one way of looking at it. Nope. I did see someone standing outside the Scavo house talking to some car. I don't know. I guess it could have been Mrs. Scavo.
Hello? That doesn't sound like something Lynette would do. Yeah, it sounds like you need to get things cleared up over at the Scavo house. I thought the cops were.